Okay, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. So welcome to round number 3. What we do today is mainly we speak about the Enneagram symbol, which is one of the esoteric spiritual symbols, one of the holy symbols, and we we take a look also at other holy symbols. And we will see that all over the world, basically all the holy symbols have a similar content in the end. Oh, jetzt geht Piano-Konzert. Gucken wir mal. One thing, actually, the conversation yesterday inspired me to design a new slide today. To make this what we called the trap of polarity yesterday. That we said that, for example, when we said yesterday, let's say there is a human being who is following his worldly desires and fully immersed in the worldly desires, and then he comes to religion, and then he wants to become a good one, and then we said. There is this trap that again he maybe have the feeling inside, or have the attitude that before he was bad, and he considers his bad quality as something he doesn't want to have in himself, and starts to hate himself and has a bad attitude towards himself. And this we said is then again a trap, because before he wanted to be something, meaning he was not content with reality, and now again he does the same thing, only in another context. Again he wants what I said, let's call the worldly desires, somebody wants to be bad, which is not really true, but we put it like bad now, and then he becomes somebody who wants to be good, and he makes the same mistake now as before. He puts what we said is the basic mistake. He puts the difference between the reality as it is and wishes from himself, and this difference makes him to suffer again. And the solution for this, I mean, to overcome this mechanical principle of polarity, is actually what Maulana Shah Nazim he used to call it, to become nothing, to be nothing. And this is exactly this is exactly the attitude which we can ourselves put into if we just accept reality as it is. And when we do this, and we let go good wishes, bad wishes, anything, then we make this polarity weaker and have the intention not to want anything. And then if we do this, then the spirit has a chance to enter, and then a real transformation can take place. I mean, as I said, this is theoretical. You can describe it over and over again. In the end, it is an individual experience. It is a special taste. But this only I wanted to mention this again to make it more clear what we spoke about yesterday. And I found also an depiction from the tradition. This is from the European esoteric tradition. Some mystic from England, I think. And he, you can see in this depiction that he understood these principles, that he has the three levels of the soul, and he has the spiritual light, which you see here a little bit weak, but you can see here the light is like entering. I mean, this is the light of consciousness actually, and from down you can see is the light of willpower, and they can meet and they can be melt together in the heart. So the human heart is the center of human being, where this transformation in the end can be realized. Okay, then we start with the actual subject of today, which is the other traditional symbols. And I found this on the internet, which I found quite nice, which shows like how many religions and spiritual paths have been. I mean, there's even more, I think, but this is just an overview where you find all of also different symbols which are connected to the different paths. I mean, this is not really correct because Islam is very small, somewhere in the middle. Actually, if what we believe as Muslims and what I believe also, that Islam is actually the last update and the most complete, and in this way also sovereign to the other existing religions. Then again, the figure what we developed in the last days, and now we take a look at the different elements of the Enneagram. If somebody maybe can go to the piano man, and because it's a little bit distracting for me, somebody can do this. Say that, please, a little bit. Piano, please. I will wait for you. Maybe what I can add to what I said before about this to become nothing. I mean, maybe you will say now, okay, become nothing, but we have Islamic law. What about this? We have rules. So there is certain objectives that we have to do, or certain rules. And this is true. This is a question of the hierarchy, in which, I mean, which importance you give to which. And there is the possibility in religion and also in Islam, there is the possibility to have a mentality of just following the law. This is absolutely legit. It is a way to practice the religion, and I think most people in the world, they do it like this. So they have this mentality, okay, I'm bad and I want to be good, and I follow the rules to be good. And this is, there's nothing wrong with it. It's absolutely legit. And what you do by this is that you, so to say, you balance your negative part of the nafs by doing positive things. And so you keep the nafs in a balance, which is absolutely okay. So your nafs does not become worse and worse and worse. The other thing is, apart from this mindset of religion, there is the other mindset, which is spiritual religion and mystics. And if you really want the nafs to be transformed, then you have to change this mindset, and you have to put, the spiritual connections in number one. This must be always the first thing. And laws and rules and everything like this must be in second place. in order not that you not block yourself. But the logic in this is, if you think about how these rules and these laws actually were created, they were created because people observed an enlightened person. So the Prophet, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, they observed him, and they make notation of what he did and what he ruled, and like this. So hopefully, or actually I think it is like this, if you really get your spiritual connections to your true being, to your inner self, to your higher self, then you will meet inspirations which are similar, if they are the same, what is reflected in the Islamic law. So the Islamic law says you have to be honest, for example. But I believe if you meet your higher self, you will be honest automatically because you feel like this. So then it is like this. You don't have to apply the law from outside on yourself, but it is, in a way, you can say you by yourself become the law. It's coming from inside. This is a change then, and this is to make this clear.
But these inspirations can also contradict the law.
Sometimes can contradict. Yes, Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said, of all this I said to you, there is a part I can tell everybody. There is another part, if I tell it, they will cut my throat. It's not, it's like this.
Story of Musa, for instance.
Yeah, exactly. There's immediately the first thing the Khidr does, he kills somebody, which is not legit in the Sharia usually. Yeah, it's true. Yeah. Okay, we continue this. So this is the three elements basically where the Enneagram is consisting of. So we have the inner triangle, what we said. We have this periodical figure, hexagonal figure, and we have the circle. And now we come to the first symbol, which is the so-called tree of life of the Kabbalah, which the similarity is already very striking, because same in the Enneagram, you have these 9 points, respectively you have number 10 point, of course, but the numbers 1 to 9, which is the same structure basically. And in order to get the connection, we make a little manipulation in one element of the Enneagram, which is this hexagonal figure, and we just put one side up, what you can see here, and then we get something like a lightning, you may say, or like a wave, but in this case it's more like a lightning. And if we come to the tree of life again, usually the numbers are put like this, so we have 1, 2, 3 in this order, and we make also a little manipulation here, which is also allowed. I mean, I cannot explain it now in detail because it needs more explanation, but which is allowed from the system of the tree of life. So we just dischange the numbers. 1 comes to here, 2 comes to here, 3 comes to here. So we get this result. And now, if we connect the numbers in the same order, then it is connected in the Enneagram, like 1, 4, 2, 8, 5, 7, again back to 1. We connect the numbers in the tree of life, 1, 4, 2, 8, 5, 7, back to 1. We get again the lightning symbol. So in the tree of life, one interpretation of the tree of life. This is the spirit, 3, 6, 9. This is the nafs, And this is the Ruh spirit, this is the Nafs, soul, this is the body. Respectively, number 10 is the physical world where the physical form is reflected. Second, other symbol, we have this, it's called Alpha and Omega, it's from the Christian tradition, and often you find it to be written inside each other, like this is a ancient stone where you have this Alpha and Omega, and from this at least we get quite obviously the two elements of the Enneagram, like the triangle and the circle. And this is referring to the Christian Holy Trinity, which is always very controversially in Islam for sure, but the simple mistake which happened here, which makes this controversy, is that the Holy Trinity is related not to the one God, it is related, so to say, to the next step of creation. It's not related to the absolute God, which is also one in Christianity, but is related, let's say, to the spirit, to the spiritual level, and there, this Holy Trinity, that they do it in three different elements. The original idea of it was just to explain a cosmic law, this cosmic law of three, what we had in the Enneagram. I mean, of also this law of the three forces. So that there is this energetic arrangement of three forces everywhere present in creation. This is the idea. And somehow they mixed it up. I mean, this esoteric teaching somehow came into mainstream areas, and then they, like it often happens in religion, they understood it like literally, and then they caused many problems in their heads. And also many people were killed because they quarreled about these problems in their heads and stuff like this, and like it's always happening, unfortunately. Yeah. Next symbol is also from Christian tradition. It is called the Chi-Rho. And Chi-Rho, because two letters of Greek language, one letter is Chi, which is like an X in Greek language, and Rho is actually the letter R in Greek language, but in Greek language it is written like a P. So we have the Chi-Rho, which is actually said to be a symbol of Jesus Christ. And often we can find it displayed between one alpha and one omega in this, like I put it here. This you may find in many ancient depictions. And in order to understand this, this time we make another manipulation on one part of the Enneagram. So we put again this hexagonal figure, and like you see, this time we take the lines out and stretch it, and then you come to the X form, so to the Chi form, and then the Chi-Rho like it is originally, and here a little bit more schematically put. So the alpha, the omega like a circle, alpha, omega, and in between there is the Chi. So spirit, soul, body, spiritual light, and when the soul is transformed, it is going to the higher octave, higher self. And this figure, this symbol, we can now take and we write it in a more schematical way, then we get this figure. And now, okay, a little bit more manipulation. Hoppla. I don't know if it is really okay to do it, but you know, with a little bit goodwill, you may find the parallel. For sure, the symbol. I mean, you can see here like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. For sure, the number 5 is always the number of prophets. This is in the tradition like this. Number 5 relates to prophets. So you can also put the pentagram, like you know the 5 star. This is also a symbol for prophethood, and also a symbol for the enlightened human being. The pentagram with the peak up. When you turn it the other way around, it becomes an opposite meaning in the way. Not really satanic, as they say, but in this direction. But this would need now more explanation, so we leave this aside. And we come to the next symbol, which is the Ankh from Egyptian tradition. And this is quite similar to the Chi-Rho, only instead of the X of the Chi figure, we have just a straight line, which is symbolizing the polarity. So schematically, like this, and I mean the polarity, plus minus, then the straight line vertical, related to the third force, which is overcoming the polarity, and finally transforming the circle into a smaller circle, so higher self. This is transformation. And higher self in the same at the same time it means eternal life, because when the soul is transformed into the complete form, the idea in the tradition is always then it becomes stable and living forever. And the Ankh cross in the tradition is also a symbol for the eternal life. So you can always find these Egyptian goddesses, and in this case they give the eternal life to the pharaoh. You can find this here. By the way, we will see this I think later also, but to say something about this Egyptian religion, also the same is in the Hindu religion, where we have so many gods, and we say, okay, this is like polytheism, which is true. When we look at it today, it looks like this, but originally all of these religions were monotheistic religions. It is just a sign of decay, and you can compare this to when you look at Islam. In Islam we have the 99 most holy names of Allah, and these are, as we say in Islam, these are aspects of God, certain manifestations of God. And what happens in the religious tradition is always, I mean, this literal understanding of things. And in this way, these former aspects of God then became gods in the end, and they were treated like separate gods. And this is what you can always see. Religions are always, the decay is always happening in the same manner. In the first place, you have a monotheistic tradition with the mystic tradition, and then through literal understanding and wrong informations, mostly literal understanding, this decay happens. And finally you find something very distorted, which is far from the original idea. Next symbol is the cross, which is actually far older than the Christian tradition. The cross is maybe one of the most ancient symbols, religious symbols in the world, and especially the cross, which has the lines are same length. The Christian cross is a little bit, I mean, the vertical line is long and the horizontal line is a little bit shorter, but this is more popular in ancient traditions. I think you can even find it in caves of the Stone Age. Even there is the first crosses you can find. And for example, here are some examples. Very obviously, you can find it when you go to Ireland. You find it in these Celtic crosses. And I believe this is an adaptation from Christianity when it came to Ireland, which was Celtic before. I think this is an adaptation from the Celtic religion. This circle, what they then put to the cross. And for example, here you have in Babylonia, you find a little bit similar, also from the meaning similar. There's this sun disk. And here from the Bronze Age, you have some pendants here, also with cross symbolic. And the inner logic is like this. The three elements you can define like the horizontal line is always you're referring to the polarity level, and also referring to the material plane. I mean, when we look also practical, we are acting in material. When it is about material matters, we are acting on a horizontal plane. So we're using our hands to do this and that. We go there, we go there. So this is also relating to this idea. Instead of the vertical line, which is representing the spiritual force, if we want the spirit to enter, we have to be calm. We sit down, we meditate, we pray, whatever. This is conditions for the spiritual force to enter, and so the vertical line always refers to the spiritual force. And again, we have the circle, which is the body, the material plane in which these forces are reflected. And when we take the Irish, the Celtic crosses from before, we can also put a smaller circle inside, and this would then represent the higher octave. I mean the enlightened soul, the higher self. Next symbol, which is not really, I mean, it is a word, but it is a symbol also. This is from Islam, from our tradition. And I mean, on one hand it is a word, but if you analyze it from the language of form, you get again the same elements. Straight line, which is the aleph, what we said before, a lightning or a wave form, which is the two lamps in the word Allah, and the letter Ha in its basic form is a circle. So same order in this depiction, and there's even more. It is we have the Hamza above the Aleph, which we can say is the origin of the spirit, which is again the higher self. I mean the ultimate unity. And we have what is called the Tashdid, which is representing a doubling of a letter. And if we remember what we said on the first day, doubling means, doubling of frequency, for example, means is the higher octave. So we have this symbol of doubling, which is at the same time a small waveform instead of the two lumps. So we can say this is also representing the higher octave, and there is usually an aleph is written above it. So the idea here is when the spiritual force is acting on the nafs, the nafs will transform to the higher octave. So in this word, the complete, or let's say the basic outline of the complete Islamic teaching is contained. And we take a look back to the what we had before, the Chi-Rho symbol, and here we can see the parallel very obviously. We have here the alpha omega and this form in between what we said, and we have in this case alpha and ha as the two poles, and in between this form. And related to this, there's also only a short look to Hindu religion. There we have also a kind of Trinity, but which is a little bit different from the Christian Trinity. And it is also the idea in Hindu religion. Hindu religion is now become this very polytheistic, and I don't know, you have like millions of gods, or I don't know, but the origin is still visible in the Hindu religion. So in the esoteric text of Hindu religion, the idea is that there is one absolute ultimate oneness, which is called Brahman in Hindu faith, and this absolute unity of Brahman is then on the next level. It is departing into three main gods, which are Brahma, who is called the creator, Vishnu, who is called the preserver, and Shiva, who is called the destroyer. And you can put the different parts of the Enneagram logically to these three different aspects of God. The spirit is the field of pure information. So it's the origin, because we say it is the Hindu people, they say it is the creator. So the information is coming down in direction to the material plane, and then the soul, which is the moving agent, which is like making the communication between information and matter. And finally, every creation finally again disappears in matter. So we are born, then we live, we move around, and finally we go to the grave and we disappear in matter. We coming from the earth, and then we disappear into the earth. This is also, in the end, it is not about creating three gods. It is about aspects, to understand aspects of the cosmic law. Next symbol is called the Caduceus, or staff of Hermes, and this is related to the Greek god Hermes, who can be compared in Islamic tradition to the archangel Jibril. This is a parallel, and this god Hermes, usually he has this stick with him. So this straight stick with these two snakes wrapped around it, and then mostly also these wings of an eagle on the top. And this symbol is not only, Hermes is a Greek god, but this symbol is even older. It is you can find it, for example, very ancient in Sumerian religion. This is here. This is from a vase, from a Sumerian vase, like 2100 BC. So you find the same symbol here. This is very ancient symbol also. Also the Egyptian deity Thoth, who is the god of healing in the Egyptian tradition. In this case, he has the stick, but they forgot the snake. I don't know why. But actually, I didn't find the depiction with the snake. But as I read, there is a relation to the snake also. So more schematically, we can put it like this. And this is again the same structure. I mean, in this case, we have, instead of the triangle of the Enneagram, we have a straight line. And we have the two snakes. Like again, we have this waveform, or we said lightning before, we said waveform. And the snake symbol is also exactly expressing the same idea in the tradition. So in other words, you can say the snake is a symbol for the nafs amara bisu, for the nafs which became attached to the material world. And the snake, all over the tradition, is a negative symbol. And I mean, when you consider the symbol of the snake, why they chose it, if you look how your nafs is behaving, I mean, what we said, that we are always in this imbalance and always searching for balancing ourselves. And if you look like a snake is moving, I mean, she's moving like right, left, right, and then she makes this kind of movement. And our nafs internally, our mind and our feelings, our vital aspects, they make internally, you can say, the same movements. We come in the morning, we feel like hungry, we have this idea. Okay, then when we eat our something, then another idea comes to our mind. Maybe our dream, we had some heavy dream in the night, we remember the heavy dream, and then suddenly we get in maybe a bad emotional state, and then again we want to balance it. We go to drink coffee again. You know, these kind of movements, this is our life. And this is why they chose the symbol of the snake. And also, as you maybe know, the snake is changing its skin from time to time. And this you can directly connect to what is said in the Holy Quran. Like the inhabitants of hell, they are described. It is said they get a new skin. Then this skin is burned until it is ripe, and then this skin is removed, and they get a new skin. This is another aspect. I mean, what we said in the first in our first meeting, that you can say a skin is like a project. Okay, you have a project, a certain idea on your mind. Okay, this is my project, this I want to do, and then you realize the project. This is the skin being burnt, getting ripe, and then suddenly, when the project is ready, the whole thing becomes boring. The energy is out. I mean, I don't want to say anything about doing projects. Doing projects is a good thing. Basically, the idea is only, do we put our heart into the project, or do we keep the distance? I mean, the question is always about how far do we identify with things. We can do projects without being identified. I mean, this is possible. And
what companies do to keep people running is to make every project very important.
Yes.
And very urgent.
Yes.
So there's always pressure of time. Yeah.
Yes, like new. I mean, this is the new fashion, especially from American companies. They put their company, even they use words from the field of religion. They put their company like a belief, and they want their employees to identify with it. I mean, this is in the end is really sick. That religion now, I mean, that completely material things turn into. I mean, this is our time. What can we do? And to continue this is other traditional depictions of the of the snake symbol. As I said, we can find it all over the world, even in very old traditions. This is again from Babylonian. I mean, in many times also this snake is related to some creation myth. Usually in many cultures, many ancient cultures, you have the idea that in the beginning of creation there was a big snake, and there was kind of a hero who killed this snake, and then the cosmos was created in this way. And this refers also, I mean, for ancient knowledge, cosmological aspects and spiritual or soul aspects always have connections. You have always this idea of of microcosm, macrocosm. I mean, the idea that the human being is a microcosm, and he is a reflection also of the macrocosm. So this is from Egypt. You have also the same idea. I think it's also a creation myth, and I think this is the one who is going to kill the snake. Same in the Nordic tradition, you can find there's the snake, and I think this is like Thor with his hammer, if I'm not going wrong. And he's going to defeat the snake. So these ancient myths, which are usually this motive you can find in not only in myths, you can find it also in fairy tales, and this is always the same pattern. There is some evil creature. It can be a snake, it can be whatever, and there is a brave man, a hero, and he during the story, the main story is that he is defeating this evil creature. He's defeating the dragon or the snake or whatever. And I mean, all these stories in the end, they are symbolical expressions of the spiritual path. This is what between ancient people. They told it from the father told it to the son, and so on. They told these stories between each other, and by telling these stories, if you tell such as stories, for example, you tell them to children, you are laying a solid foundation for this child later to develop spiritual interest, because the structure by these kind of stories. You put the main framework into the soul. So these old stories, all of them, the best is when they are complete in a way and not distorted. There's always a big value in them. And for sure, the motif of the snake, we have it in the monotheistic tradition, like the snake in the paradise garden, and the snake is coming to Adam and Eve, and then happens what we all know is happening. Then, as we said before, we come to this motive of this hero who who is killing the snake, defeating the snake or the dragon, is the Dragonslayer. And this motive, besides in fairy tales, in many stories here, for example, you have famous story from Germany, the Nibelungen, where you have Siegfried and the dragon. And here it is the Greek hero Hercules, who is also fighting, in this case, a many-headed water dragon called Hydra. And again, this many-headed is another symbolical expression, because the nafs has like many aspects in it. It is not one. It is like you can say in your nafs, we in ourselves, we have many personalities which we switch according to the situation. And this is a symbolical expression of this. And here we have the Christian saint St. George is also killing the dragon. Of course, the whole thing internally in human being is related to what is known in the tradition as Kundalini or serpent power. And here is a very interesting thing. Abdul Majid, we spoke about it yesterday, and I digged a little bit in my books, and I found the chapter. Gurdjieff said something very interesting about Kundalini, because Kundalini usually in modern yoga you find the idea that Kundalini is sleeping somewhere at the bottom of your spinal column and has to be awakened. And then when it is going to be awakened, then you get enlightenment or something like this. So Kundalini is considered as a positive force. But Gurdjieff says this is completely misunderstanding, again by literal understanding maybe, and he says, I just quote it here, and above all, Kundalini is not anything desirable or useful for man's development. It is very curious how these occultists have got hold of the word from somewhere but have completely altered its meaning, and from a very dangerous and terrible thing have made something to be hoped for and to be awaited as some blessing. In reality, Kundalini is the power of imagination, the power of fantasy, which takes the place of a real function. When a man dreams instead of acting, when his dreams take the place of reality, when a man imagines himself to be an eagle, a lion or a magician, it is the force of Kundalini acting in him. Kundalini can act in all centers, and with its help all the centers can be satisfied with imaginary instead of the real. By centers, Gurdjieff means the different parts of the soul. Like we said, mental soul, emotional soul, vital soul. And Kundalini is exactly what we always put in this red and green color. I mean, this snake power is exactly is symbolic for the nafs amara bisu, for this polarity power, which has actually to be overcome. And the idea, I think this is a problem of literal understanding, because awakening, as they put it, awakening means that it is sleeping somewhere and it has to be awakened. But the real meaning of it, I believe, is that the sleep is actually this state of imagination. I mean, this hypnotic state where we are in. And awakening in this case mean that we have to put spiritual power. I mean, we have to put the third force on this polarity structure, and this is the real awakening. And so this is the transformation then. This was the original idea, and it became this false idea that Kundalini is something positive which is sleeping somewhere and you have to awaken it. And this is how, again, you can see, this is how tradition changes. You know, you come from a correct and original understanding. By literal understanding, you come finally you come to the opposite of the real meaning. And I want also to connect the Dragonslayer with what we had the holy name of Allah. You can also see in this symbolic expression, you can also see the different elements. You have the Aleph, which we said is the spirit. The Dragonslayers, they have a lance or sword with which they kill the snake. So this is the spiritual power. The snake, you find here, the snake, the dragon. And in many stories, the dragon is not living outside somewhere because he's hiding, like the nafs is hiding. And this is the cave. Hiding in material darkness. From Egyptian tradition, what we said before, these Egyptian gods, which are originally aspects of God, like the 99 names in Islam, the Egyptian word for it is consisting of these 3 letters, natar. This is the original word in general for divine, for something divine. And the basic hieroglyph for this idea, for this divine power, which can transform things, the hieroglyph for it is a stuff where something is wrapped around, or a cloth is hanging on the stuff. This is the original hieroglyph. So similar to this, again, you have a stuff where something is wrapped around. So the idea, the expression of a force that can control the polarity forces and transform. And this symbolical expression of something wrapped around a stick is known all over the world, also in Europe. You can find in different countries, you can find still the tradition of the male pole or May tree. So this is done in May, and the idea is in order to ask God to give a rich harvest, because May is the month in which the seeds are planted, and this feast is made like a feast to ask for good weather to make the harvest like rich. And again, the same symbolical action is done. And this must be also very ancient, because these people who designed it, they knew that that creating such a symbolical expression is also attracting forces. This is always this maybe we can say also in general. This is in general is the principle of rituals, of any religious ritual. You make a certain symbolical form, and the idea is that this form, what you do on the material plane also, will be recognized on higher on the spiritual plane and will attract spiritual force. So, for example, also, if you put holy symbols if you put Quran verses in a room, if you put holy symbols in a room for protection, even the prayer you can also say is a symbolical act. I mean, you have a certain set of different postures, and you do these postures over and over again. So your body makes symbolical moves, and the same idea, these symbolical moves of the body are considered that they are recognized in the spiritual realm, and they will attract a certain spiritual force, which then enters into your soul. And in our tradition, we also have this element of something wrapped around something. Do you have an idea what it is? Abdul Majid just carries on his head. Yes. Turban. Same idea. The cap represents the spirit. The cloth represents the soul, which is controlled or wrapped around the spirit, the enlightened soul, finally. This is the idea. By the way, turban is not only Islamic. It's not originally Islamic. They wear turbans also before. I mean, you can find depictions of ancient priests of Babylonia or Egypt. They are wearing turbans. Also, this is also an old thing. To make the picture complete regarding sunnah clothes, we said that the turban, the cap is representing the spirit, the cloth, the enlightened soul, and as you have it in the Islamic tradition, you have not only the cloth around the cap, but you have this tail of the turban reaching to the heart. I mean, from Sunnah tradition, it should reach in the heart region, and this is the idea that the soul is coming up from the heart. I mean, the place of transformation is the heart, and through the heart you can enter to the higher self, which is above the head, and so it is wrapped around the spirit. And I mean, this is the idea of this tail, the connection heart and higher self. Because also this when you have these modern ideas of these chakra system, usually they say the force will come from down, enter up, and going through the head, and then finally reach the crown chakra. But the original idea is not like this. The original idea is that the place of transformation is the heart. The idea is that you cannot reach through the third eye, I mean through the chakra which is in your head. You cannot reach to the higher self because there is a block. You have to use the heart. This is the original setting. And again, it is, I mean, in this case, this is misunderstandings, I think, by modern authors, basically. Because in the original text, you can still find the idea. You have also you still have it in the chakra symbols. I mean, the symbol of the Anahata chakra, which is the heart chakra. You have also the Star of David, which is symbolizing that transformation is taking place there, not in the head. And yeah, the cloak is just to make it complete. I mean, the arguments for it is missing now, because then we had to look to the complete Enneagram and explain more things. But only to make it complete, the cloak is symbolizing the firmament and the seven heavens, and the stick is representing or symbolizing the spiritual light, which can reach to the material level. And this is why also you find the shaykhs like acting with their stick, like they can put the stick on you and heal with the stick. And the idea is that spiritual power is moving through the hand of the shaykh, through the stick, and reaching to your soul and have a beneficent effect. Interesting also regarding the Muslim turban is that when we look at this particular Muslim turban form, I mean, you have wrapped around the cap, which is a circle, and you have the tail, which is already symbolically very near to the number 9. And the number 9 is actually the idea of the number 9, which is on the top of the Enneagram, where the transformation of the lines is ending. The idea is the same, which I said for the turban, that the force is coming from down up and finally entering into the higher circle. This is the idea of the number 9. I mean, we don't go now into numerology and stuff, only to mention this, because the similarity is striking.
Can I just
Yeah?
notice that if you go back to the polarity, women cannot put this turban.
Women actually, I saw sisters already. They do it, but traditionally it is for men. But don't ask me why.
Yeah.
I don't know. I up to now I didn't analyze on it. I don't know.
Because this system you explained to us, it's women and men. This
Yeah.
energy and
I mean, for sure there is symbolics in it, but I didn't figure it out yet. Maybe next year I can tell you. I don't know. I don't know. But for sure it is not about oppression. I mean, as they put it usually, that only men are allowed and ladies. No. This relates to, for sure this relates to the basic difference of male and female power, and for sure it is designed like this, that it makes the most sense for men to wear turban and the particular men clothes, and for ladies to wear hijab and ladies clothes. This is this must be understand always these kind of things, which are often especially from outsiders and from critics of religion, they are understood as oppression. But the reason for these kind of things is always of energetic reasons. I mean, the reason for this is always, in one way or other, to save spiritual power and to attract spiritual power. This is what it is all about. Because religion is not about oppression. I mean, this is completely wrong idea. The basic idea of religion is to overcome polarity, to overcome oppression, to overcome oppression and to find peace for the soul. I mean, this is again literal understanding, and as you can see in many heads of many people today, the original meaning of religion is completely upside down by all these kind of misunderstandings. Now this number 9 is already close to another very ancient symbol, maybe the most ancient, at least the most ancient I know, which is the spiral. And the idea of the spiral is, from in the eyes of classical geometry, that in classical geometry or in holy geometry, it is usually straight lines considered as male energetically, and circle lines and curved lines considered as female. So what is a spiral? You can say a spiral is a combination of both of them. So when you have a spiral, you go around a circle, but in the same time also you decreasing the radius. So in the same time you make also a movement along a straight line. And this is the transformation using male and female power coming together. Male and female has to be understood, not particular sexually only. This is more like basic cosmic principles. Don't put it too literal on the man-woman thing. But for transformation you need always two powers to be transformed. To create something new, in other words. Because to create something new in what on the plane of human life. A child can only be born by combination of male and female power. This is also cosmic law. And this is also the reason what we said yesterday, that we should not consider these polarities, these in the end, let's say, bad qualities in ourselves. We should not and develop the mentality to hate them, because we need it. As Maulana said, as I mentioned, Maulana said, bad qualities are the raw material for good qualities. So we have to consider them as something valuable, where we can create something out of it. And here we have some examples for the spiral symbol. This is from Newgrange in Ireland. I believe it's Stone Age. This, I think, is from Aborigines in Australia, also very old, and carving in some rock there. But we also find it in nature. We find it, for example, here in these forms of sea animals there. And also we find it on the cosmological level in form of spiral galaxies. So this is a quite archetypal form. Very basic law, very basic cosmic law, obviously. Again, also in our tradition we have it, which is, for example, in the Taoist, which we carrying, or which everybody from us is carrying around around his neck. Again, we have a spiral developing into a smaller circle. So again, you have this idea, or the symbolic expression of coming from a lower octave to the higher octave. This is in it. This is in the Taoist symbol. In this case, it makes like 3 rounds. So we can say, similar as in the Enneagram, there is 3 octaves put into 1 octave. Like we said before, we have spirit, soul, and body. If we draw the complete Enneagram, it is like 3 octaves, 3 different worlds. But in the Enneagram symbol, as we have it originally, all of these 3 octaves is compressed into 1 octave. And same with the Naqshbandi Taoist. And this is, by the way, this is the text which is written there in Arabic. It's like a dua in the end. Same, the spiral symbol we have also in Islam. We have it also in another place, which is the Kaaba. I mean, when people doing tawaf around the Kaaba, if you look at it from up, you have the impression of a spiral, and people also, as we know, they try to come close, and they try to come to the black stone. And it's not easy to come to the black stone, as we know. So you have the circle movement, and you have also the movement radius in direction to the center. Same symbolical expression. And again, same expression. I mean, by this symbolical. By this symbolical movement, it will attract the Kaaba and the people they're doing tawaf. They will attract a certain power on this spot. So this spot is all because people are encircling around it all the time, and we can very much guess that the Kaaba is charged with spiritual power all day and night. This is what is happening there. And also, I mean, people all over the world, they use it as the Qibla. They pray in this direction. So this is a spiritually very charged place there. And I think in spite of you have now this ugly clock tower and you have all the shopping malls around it, but if you, I think if you concentrate, you can still feel there's spiritual power there in a very distinct and very strong way. Another symbol not related to the spiral, but related to the Star of David. We have in Islamic mystic, it is the Whirling Dervish from the Mevlevi order. And the idea here is when the dervish is moving, I mean when he is standing, before he is starting to move in circles, his cloth is down. So he is representing, let's say, this kind of triangle. If he puts his arms, if he just starts to move, but during the moving, the cloth is going up. So the cloth is then symbolizing the upright triangle, which we said is the spiritual power. So you can say the dervish itself, by making his arms up, he is representing the nafs, the soul, which is opening herself to Allah, to spiritual power. And then when the moving starts and the cloth is going up, then I mean, if there is some photos existing, I mean, this is a little bit like this when you have dervishes photographed with how you call it, with a long time of however it is called. I mean, then you see it is all. You understand what I mean? It is like blurred, and you actually become a similar form like the Star of David. And something else which is more familiar to us, because nearly everybody is using it, is the Tesbih. So the Tesbih already consists of from its design, it is already representing an Enneagram basically, because it is divided into three parts with the same length. It is round if you put it on the floor, and it has this special knob also, which we said is the final point of transformation, where the spirit is finally entering in and transforming. Again, straight line, representing the spiritual power. I'm not sure, but I very much guess that whoever designed the Tesbih was also aware of the Enneagram symbol. Just hypothesis, but I don't know exactly when it was designed. It was not in the time of the Prophet. I mean, as we know, it is a good bidder, as we call it. It was designed later, but I guess very much that if not the design, the one who designed it, if not he knew about the Enneagram, but he knew about the structure, in which way ever. Okay, we turn a little bit away from Islam and come to another tradition, which is Taoism from the Far East. And the main symbol of Taoism is the Yin-Yang symbol. And again, we have, as we said, the wave, the form of a wave or lightning or snake, if you like. I mean, in this symbol, it is like a wave, basically. We may say, again, we have the same structure. We have the two snakes, let's say. We have a circle encompassing the whole thing. The straight line is not obvious, but if we take the two dots, which are also part of the yin-yang symbol, and connect them by a line, then we very easily get the straight line. And as we said, what we did in the meditation yesterday, there is this information of this crossover movement of energies. What we said, willpower is activating consciousness, consciousness is activating willpower. And then the movement, the transformation process is being started. To compare it directly with the Islamic word or symbol or the majestic name of Allah, we can see here the parallel. Straight line, circle, and the two waves. Next symbol. I mean, we are in Germany, so must be. I cannot avoid it. I must be. People often say, "Don't do it. It will disturb." But why? I mean, it's not basically. It was not developed. It was not designed in the Third Reich. It is even older. You can find it in many traditions. The swastika. And analyzing it again, we find it is containing two wave forms again. Same structure, different cultural expression, but basically the same structure. So if you put a circle around it, like the Nazis actually do, but I don't think they believe they knew about the expression.
They have connections to.
They have, yes, I know. They have maybe they have a distinct idea to do it like this. I'm not sure if they are in this way spiritual. But however, you have the two waveforms, circle around it, straight line. I tried very hard, but I could not find it. But maybe you can just say it is the middle point. Maybe you can say there's the straight line maybe coming out of the picture and also representing the higher self. I mean, where the two different waves, I mean, where the place of transformation is. Okay, then finally, just an overview over the main symbols that we mentioned, that you have the whole picture again. Yeah, that's it for today. Some questions? A lot of information. No, it's
Very interesting.
No, I believe. I mean, I believe this is now the time that we don't look at the differences. This is the time that we look at what we have common with other faiths and religions. Because also, I mean, Maulana, one of these famous sohbet which he did some years before he passed away, where he said like there is no Naqshbandi anymore, there is no this anymore, and Sham was very shocked, and the whole Tariqa was very shocked. But I think this was an announcement to express this idea that this is this is a mindset which belongs to an old time. It's not the mindset for the new time. The mindset for the new time is that we open up and we can consider everybody as brothers and sisters, basically every human being, and we look at what we have in common and how we can work together, and not dividing each other only because other people following other methods of purifying the soul or whatever. I mean, this makes no sense.
Here in your slide, you have the symbol, and there is the name of Allah in Arabic.
Yes.
It's normal, or?
Sorry?
Why we have the name of Allah in Arabic with the symbol?
I think maybe you were not present when we talked about yes, because it is basically the same. I mean, the name of Allah on one hand it is a word and it is a name, but on the other hand it is a symbolical expression, like the other symbols also. It is a symbolical expression of spirit, soul, body, and also of the process which has to be done. I mean the process of transformation, because you can see here this the tashdid is the symbol of doubling, no? Doubling means doubling of frequency means in terms of music means it's the higher octave. You know, 440 hertz is the lower A, 880 hertz is the higher A. So this is the idea of the higher octave. So the idea of transformation. So by spiritual power, which is also represented here again by the Aleph, spiritual power combined with the qualities of the Nafs, Amara Bisu, will finally lead to the higher octave of the soul. I mean, will transform the soul from the lower state into the higher state. This is the idea. So you can say the majestic name of Allah is, beside that it is a name, it is a symbolical expression of the complete religion, of the basic idea of the religion. Not only showing the structure of the universe and of human being, also showing the direction what to do. And what to do now? I think dinner time.
Ich wollte noch fragen.
Ja, okay.
Hast du das schon irgendwie unter die Leute? Oder?
Ja, also ich habe bis jetzt hier das 5-mal gemacht. Mit 5-mal mit ein bisschen auch, also ich habe klein angefangen, habe das ein bisschen entwickelt, also viel von dem Material ist auch erst in den letzten Wochen entstanden und das wird so sein, inshallah. Also ich werde das neben der Sache, dass ich jetzt an dem Buch eben arbeite, was noch wesentlich mehr Material enthält, als das, was ich jetzt hier präsentiert habe. Das ist das eine, was ich eben jetzt, woran ich am Arbeiten bin, was in Englisch erscheinen wird. Und die andere Sache ist die, also das, was wir jetzt gemacht haben hier, ist in ungefähr dieses Grundsetting von den Seminaren, die ich auch plane, die dann so Wochenendseminare sein werden oder wie auch immer. Und dann werde ich das Ganze oder muss ich das Ganze auch noch auf Deutsch eben setzen, weil damit eben auch in Deutschland ich das anbieten kann. Und ich hoffe, dass ich da noch dieses Jahr mit starten kann. Irgendwie das eben da Leute einzuladen zu und die Sachen so eben weiterzugeben. Also an unsere Leute natürlich, weil ja, es gibt immer neue Sachen zu wissen, das ist endlos. Und eben auch an andere Menschen, die jetzt, sagen wir mal, die jetzt nicht direkt bereit sind, jetzt sofort eine Religion wie den Islam zum Beispiel direkt zu akzeptieren. Ich meine, die westlichen Menschen normalerweise, die legen immer einen gewissen Wert darauf, erstmal zu verstehen, was sie machen. Also speziell die westlichen Menschen haben diese Eigenart, dass die erstmal rational das ein bisschen erklärt bekommen haben wollen und nicht einfach reinspringen. Und das ist die Idee dann dabei, eben, sagen wir mal, so die grundsätzliche Idee von Religion zu erklären. Und jetzt, sagen wir mal, von meiner Seite ist es auch nicht so, ich bin jetzt niemanden, der jetzt Leute zum Islam pushen will, das ist nicht mein Stil. Ich werde das eben vorstellen und wenn Leute interessiert sind, dann kommt da inshallah irgendwie eine freiwillige Entscheidung zustande, für was immer sich Leute dann entscheiden. Aber eben die Hauptidee ist einfach, also sagen wir mal, das Verstehen zu verbessern, dass wir das, also dass Menschen, die jetzt mit Religion sich beschäftigen, ob in unserer Gruppe oder andere, dass eben das Verständnis von dem grundsätzlichen Setting, wofür das eigentlich, was das soll und was man da eigentlich macht, so, dass das verbessert wird. Das ist so mein Hauptanliegen. Today? Yeah. It's today is last one. Yes. Okay then.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, you're welcome. I thank you.
Thank you.